But now let's turn to the big news this afternoon, the mushroom trial in Victoria that has sent shockwaves worldwide. After 7 days of deliberations, a jury has found Erin Patterson guilty of murdering 3 relatives of her estranged husband. New pictures have tonight been released of the leftovers of the deadly beef Wellington meal. That's the meal. Also a photograph of Erin Patterson's dining table where her lunch guests ate that fatal meal. The jury was also shown this footage of Erin Patterson checking herself out of hospital after she claimed to have eaten the deadly mushroom meal, and she was checking out of hospital against medical advice. Yet a day earlier, she seemed fine walking into a service station where she'd bought some food. So this was part of the footage and the evidence that the jury considered. Let's bring in now media lawyer and partner at Thomson Geer, Justin Quill. Justin, thank you very much for your time tonight. Did you expect this verdict this afternoon based on the evidence that was presented over the course of the trial?
Look, I probably did, but I always thought it was going to be close. And to be frank, the longer the deliberations went on, the more the chances that the jury were going to find reasonable doubt increased. So, look, if they'd come back this afternoon and found not guilty, I wouldn't have fallen off my chair. But I did think it was probably more likely than not they were going to find her guilty.
I mean, there were a lot of lies that were exposed on Erin Patterson's part throughout the case. But one thing that the Crown case never achieved was a clear-cut motive for the murders. And this was something that I found interesting watching it, because clearly she was guilty in the sense that she did cook this deadly meal that led to the 3 deaths. But what was her motive? Was this something that you found unusual, Justin, that the Crown case wasn't able to put forward a clear-cut motive?
Yeah, I mean, there was hints around, a bit of a dispute with the husband over, childcare payments and the like, and there was some pretty basic criticism of the victims by Erin Patterson in some WhatsApp groups some months earlier. That criticism was pretty mild, really, when you think about families in the middle of breakups and divorces and what have you. So I absolutely agree. The lack of motive that would justify the killing of 3 people and the attempted murder of the 4th is surprising. I also thought it was surprising, in fact, that the prosecution, all they really did on motive at the start of the case in opening was say, we don't need to prove motive. And that is true. But I did wonder whether just telling the jury, we don't need to prove it, so we're not going to bother, and don't you worry about it, whether that was actually going to cut the mustard and whether the jury were going to be able to sufficiently put it out of their mind. So it was a fascinating aspect of it. And if we'd had reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury, it was probably going to come from the lack of motive.
Yeah, exactly, because her defence case, could have argued, and as they did, that she got the bags of mushrooms mixed up and she didn't intend to kill them. So fascinating. And of course, we're still to see what her sentence will be. Justin Quill, really appreciate your analysis. Thank you.